A local biotech firm could play a key role in a Zika vaccine. Elliot Parks is CEO of Hawaii Biotech, which already developed a molecular vaccine for dengue fever. I assume that based on your success in combating dengue, that somebody thought we need to tap these guys to work on the current problem.
Well, that was our idea. We've done this with dengue, we've done this with West Nile, and now we're doing with Zika. And the FDA is, we hope, very comfortable with what we've done in the past, and they've been very helpful with us to date.
How much of a rush job is this?
Oh, we're doing as fast as we can. We're expediting this. We're doing the research here. We don't have the virus either in nature here on the islands, nor do we have it in any laboratories on the islands. So we're doing the development work on the mainland. But that's going to get us into the clinic very rapidly for a vaccine, we think as early as first quarter next year.
That would be fast. Now, are you saying that this is going to be like those other vaccines, you developed a molecular level vaccine?
Precisely. We use the same platform. It's plug and play, as we say in the industry.
Okay, let's go through an explanation of that again, because that's what makes your company unique and what makes a lot of national disease-fighting officials focusing on this Hawaii-based company. What's the difference between an old-fashioned vaccine and a molecular one?
Well, old-fashioned vaccines use viruses in one way or another. We use no viruses, we use proteins. And that's one of the reasons we can get in the clinic so fast, because they're very safe. It's easy, it's much easier and faster to show the safety of a protein than it is of a virus. And that's why we're, again, targeting to be in the clinic early in 2017. And as soon as we can get out there in the marketplace, we'll do that as well.
What kind of money are they paying you to do something like this?
Oh, right. That wonderful question. Right now we're doing it on our own internally. There's a lot of discussion. We've flown to Europe. We'll be flying to Europe again next week. We're flying to the East Coast the week after. So I'm sure there'll be money down the road. But right now, it's so early. All of the developers are funding internally. So
you as the CEO made what I'm sure it was not an easy decision to commit resources in the hope of getting paid for it later.
Precisely. It would have been a harder decision, except we have this history with dengue and West Nile, our interaction with the FDA. We're very positive about this.
Okay, Hawaii Biotech, a local company that's going to be very likely a big part of the Zika solution.
I'm Timothy Ray Brown. I am the first person cured of HIV in the world, and unfortunately the only one. I do not want to be the last one. I want there to be many others cured, and I am very happy to be here for the Hawaii to Zero HIV Prevention and Cure Initiative.
Our HIV research community has a very strong track record of really working together well. And so we are linked up very closely with our state health department, our community physicians that take care of HIV, and actually our HIV-infected community, who's really been supportive for over 20 years on our initiatives. And because we also have a laboratory that is really into some very exciting cure, work. We have some clinical trials expertise. We think that we can pull the whole thing together and really launch something very, very exciting in Hawaii.
I think it's also important to recognize that it is World AIDS Day, and we're commemorating the over 30 million people that have died from this dreaded disease since the early 80s and probably before that. And then the over 30 million people that are actually living with HIV. Some here on the island of Hawaii are very fortunate and lucky to have access to treatment and care. Not everyone does around the world.
And we're finding out that in our HIV-infected population, even on very good therapy, they have higher rates of these old age type of complications, and it occurs earlier. And we know that antiretroviral therapy by itself will not cure HIV. If someone were to take themselves off these medications, HIV comes back with a vengeance. It's proof of concept that it's possible. Someone's been cured. And so I think it's really galvanized the whole world into saying, let's really find out why it worked, how to replicate it, and let's move forward trying to cure everyone.
People have tried to replicate this because it's really been a success story in the procedure. One of the problems, though, is you have to have somebody with cancer as well. So this obviously doesn't apply to the general HIV-infected population. But again, as Dr. Shikuma pointed out, this really has been proof of principle that an integrated virus that actually hides in the cell can actually be removed by this procedure. And what it has done is it has sparked unbelievable interest and research to try to find out other ways that we can actually do this.
Like Cecilia said, if it's been done once, it can be done again. I was at a conference in Seattle, and Dr. David Baltimore, who is a Nobel laureate, said, in science, nothing is impossible. And I believe that it is curing everyone is possible.
The work that Lish and Celia are doing here is so tremendous and exciting, and he shared with me some inside information that is not to be reported until things are published in science, and that's the way that world works. But just what he shared with me already, you're going to be hearing a lot more about the University of Hawaii and Lish's lab and the work that you guys are doing here on campus. And the whole world is extremely excited. I know that we are. Timothy and I are.
The future is bright indeed at the John A. Burns School of Medicine campus in Kaka'ako, both in education and in vibrant, dynamic research activities. For the past 3 years, JABSOM has ranked #1 in the country in National Institutes of Health Research Awards among community-based public medical schools. JABSOM receives about $42 million a year in external funding, at least half from the NIH. Dr. Stephen Ward, who studies reproductive genetics, says the funding benefits science and it benefits Hawaii.
We just went up for our competitive renewal for this program, and we got another 5-year, 10-year extension on that. So that's $20 million total over a 10-year period that we brought into Hawaii. 80% of that $20 million goes directly into the Hawaii economy.
Dr. Marla Berry focuses her work on effects of the essential trace element selenium. Dr. Berry says cures for disease might be all around us.
There are a lot of studies that are being done here in Hawaii that are focusing on the marine environment and some of the compounds that can be identified in corals and sponges and these beautiful sea slugs that have incredible colors derived from the toxins in them that are warning their predators not to eat them, and those kinds of things are being found to have properties in analgesia, preventing pain, anti-cancer properties. It's just, there's just so much out there, to explore. And Hawaii is a great place for that because we have so many species that are endemic here that are found nowhere else in the world.
And perhaps the collaborative research efforts going on daily in the labs at Kaka'ako will unlock a host of secrets in disease prevention and cure.
There are efforts looking at natural products, and we do that in conjunction with the Cancer Center in terms of looking at agents that may help prevent or treat cancer, as well as a host of other illnesses, including diabetes, natural products that may be beneficial for helping us deal with excess weight and other problems that lead to diabetes. We're looking at some very interesting things in the cardiovascular system, including how you can deliver drugs and genes through microbubbles that can float through the circulation, and then with a little ultrasound in a targeted area, open up and push their contents into the tissue where they can begin to have a therapeutic effect.
The road ahead holds unlimited promise at the John A. Burns School of Medicine for continued outreach to all of Hawaii's people, including the underserved, and for continued partnerships and team building for improved delivery of health care.
I think the future is very bright for us. We will move more towards our neighbor islands because that's where, proportionate to the population, the greatest needs exist. We will work towards building these health systems where the medical school will be a component. And one of the big areas that I've been working on with my colleagues from the College of Health Sciences and Social Welfare, nursing, public health, social work, and our Cancer Center colleagues is how do we build a stronger collaborative team that solves healthcare problems.
This strong ohana of healthcare professionals, with the John A. Burns School of Medicine at its foundation, will continue to serve the healthcare needs of the people of Hawaii.
You know, the vision of Governor Burns was to create the medical school, and now I consider it as a key and critical part of the state ohana. In fact, you know, looking at how many grads are actively practicing medicine now, and what the heck, my doctor is probably going to be a grad after I retire. We need them and to fill the physician shortage. The other thing that's impressive is how well they perform in the boards, which speaks to the quality of not only the students and the grads, but also the program. The partnership with the med school, with the residents and students coming through, keeps us sharper, keeps the faculty member, the medical staff in tune and current and engaged with the training. And you know, it's passing the torch from one generation to the next as well. But it is really keeping the quality, the culture, the tradition, and the traditions and values of our past physicians and passing it on to our incoming physicians.
And having the school come here has really, I think, just been a great gift for Kaka'ako. It's kind of, you can kind of tell that the neighborhood is centered around the school, and you know, they're doing all of this redevelopment that's been really, I think, a good thing. And then also for the school itself, it's just, I mean, it's this beautiful facility. We have an anatomy lab, which is really important for us, you know, in our education. And talking to faculty here who went to UH Manoa, and they had great education, but they definitely, if they went to Manoa for their medical school before this campus was here, they kind of let us know we're really fortunate as students now to have this school. And you know, we have all the state-of-the-art facilities. It's our own special place to go as medical students, and they never miss a chance to kind of let us know basically how fortunate we are, and they're right, definitely.
We were tucked away. We were on campus, but we were tucked up in a little corner up the Manoa side of campus, and none of us really ventured outside of that area. I think now that we're located down in Kaka'ako near the hub downtown, near the hospitals, I really think that we are part of the energy of the city.
Dr. Stephen Ward will hold this honor to start as the first endowed chair Lakshmi and Devrai Sharma in obstetrics and gynecology and women's health. Dr. Ward is basic scientist. He is chemist and biochemist by training. He was trained in some very prestigious institution from Vanderbilt when he got a PhD. He was part of faculty in John Hopkins Institution and faculty in Robert Wood Johnson Institution in New Jersey. We are fortunate he joined us in 2000, the same time when I joined the department, and Dr. Yana's Institute. Dr. Ward is very well renowned in reproductive medicine, in sperm chromatin, and he spearheaded many research projects. Just recently he got the renewal for COBRI grants that allows infrastructure support for biogenesis research. He's very well published, more than 72 publications, more than 8,000 citations. Our department is truly fortunate that Dr. Ward agreed to serve as a research division chief. So Dr. Ward, please come. Congratulations, Dr. Ward.
I I wasn't told I was supposed to say anything. It's a great honor, and I'm very humbled by it. I hope to do this honor well through the department and supporting research and bringing the clinical and basic research together from the Manoa campus together. Thank you very much.
We have shown in preclinical trials that treatment with a specific ion channel blocker can alleviate progression to heart failure. This has been published and is the basis of the intellectual property and the science that we've developed down at the John A. Burns School of Medicine.
What happens now?
Well, moving forward, we hope to move into clinical trials as the company develops, and this should be reasonably rapid as we're already using drugs that have been designed for an alternative use that have been through some clinical trials already.
So they reflect the organ function much better than the isolated cells.
Metallodrugs are different types of compounds that include some sort of metal. So the ones that are commonly thought of are things like cisplatin, which contains platinum. But now we're utilizing drugs that have copper, that have titanium and gold.
You need to be a real skilled pathologist.
This is the first of its kind, actually. This is focused on the clinical and experimental use of metallodrugs in medicine. And this particular one is focused on cancer chemotherapeutics. So metallodrugs have had a long history in cancer therapies, but we're getting the very latest now. There actually are some revolutions going on in the field, and I think that we have a lot of promise in using metallodrugs in the future in treating a number of cancers.
This is a very important event because usually there are conferences that cover different aspects, and this is very specific on cancer and on metallodrugs. The fact that we are doing this in a National Cancer Institute designated center is very relevant, and we also receive support from the National Cancer Institute.
And show you that in the tumor microenvironment. I think as someone who's worked in it for a long time, I view it as kind of an obligation to be here and talk to people and try to give them some ideas and learn from my own research. It's so wonderful that Hawaii has a cancer center like this. I think it's good from an educational point of view. I think that the type of population that you have on the island here is very heterogeneous, and that's good. As you know, that we and others are working hard to try to find ways to make compounds and medicines in general personalizable, so that by appropriate analysis of the genetics of cancer patients, one will have an idea of being able to find the compound that's particularly selective and particularly effective against the type of cancer that they have.
The goal was to have interdisciplinarity, translational research in drug development. We also coupled to this symposium a workshop for early stage researchers, so to put everybody on the same background, let's say, to then face the symposium, because the topics are very different and it's very broad. And then one other point was to have scientists from all around the world. So we managed to cover all the continents, and we wanted people from Asia, from Europe, from US together talking about this topic and the state-of-the-art research in this topic. So we hope we have succeeded in that.